Hi, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my series, Becoming Her, My Level Up Era. It is the first official video where I am putting together the habits, the boundaries, the routines that I'm going to be focusing on in 2026. This year is not about perfection. It is about becoming the best version of myself. There are 3 to about 4 pillars that I will be focusing on in this year, in this level up era. And they consist of habits, my daily habits, my routines, the boundaries that I have both in my personal and professional life, my intentions, and my wealth. If you're resetting, trying to level up to, welcome to this community. Now let's get into it. Now, I have broken down each of the pillars that I'm going to focus on, and I am the kind of person who writes a lot of things down. I want to have a clear direction of where I'm going to. I want to be able to refer back to the things that I've written. So don't mind me as I'm looking at my notes and sharing with you the pillars that I've come up with for this year. The first thing is the habits that support the person that I am going to become. A few of the habits that I'd like to focus on are keep waking up early. I am a morning person. I know myself. I know I'm most productive in the mornings. So continuing to do that is going to help me be the most efficient with my time. And we all know that time is super valuable. Spending with intention. This is going to be crucial because in the past, I feel that whenever I wanted something, whether I was making a little bit of money or I was making a comfortable amount of money, I always had the mindset that if I wanted something I couldn't afford it, that I just need to make more money. Right. So an example of that is when I was teaching and my girlfriends and I wanted to do a trip to Puerto Rico. I didn't have a lot of excess funds because I was a teacher. But instead of budgeting myself and budgeting the lifestyle that I had, I just decided to get another job. From a very early on, I always had the idea that I could just make more to afford the lifestyle. Instead of now, I'm at a point where I feel that I work really hard for my money and I need to be spending it on things that are intentional and that add value to my life. So that is one of the habits, one of the bigger habits that I'm going to be focusing on because it's never been something that I've done in the past. Daily movement. I work out quite a bit as it is, but I want to make sure that the movement that I am incorporating into my life is movement that isn't rushed. This past year, my routine consisted a lot of getting up early, rushing to the gym, rushing to do cardio, rushing to get back, rushing to eat breakfast. Hopefully, 2026 will consist more of slower mornings, but movement that I enjoy, like dancing. I know last year I wanted to take up roller skating. So hopefully 2026 will be the year that I take that into consideration. So the daily movement is going to just be in a different direction that I've been doing in the past. And one of the things that I think that I could easily focus on for 2026 is doing one productive thing a day. I typically don't procrastinate on things that are super important. So I know how to prioritize, but there are things on my list that didn't necessarily have dates or didn't seem very urgent that I would put off. So 2026, I'm going to look at my list of non-priority things and cross off at least one a day. So doing one productive thing a day and checking in on myself at the end of the day. The last thing I'm going to be focusing on is journaling. There was a period where I journaled very consistently, but I veered away from it and it's been so hard to get back into it. I'd like to pick that habit up again in 2026 because I do feel that it did help me when I was consistently doing it. I'm going to utilize the habits that I know have worked for me in the past while incorporating some habits that I may not have considered before. The second pillar that I'm going to be focusing on are my routines. I am a person that thrives on routines. So knowing what I'm doing, what time I'm doing it, is the best way for me to be efficient with my time. So I'm going to continue to have routines and systems in place that allow me and give me space to be as productive as possible. One of the things I mentioned before is that my routine in 2026 was very much rushed. And I am finally entering an era where I want to enjoy the time that I have and not feeling rushed to do one thing to the next. So the routine and the structure that I want to have, especially for my mornings, is starting my mornings in a more calm way so that the rest of my day doesn't feel stressful or give me anxiety. I want to be really intentional with those couple of hours right after I wake up to set the tone for my day. So that's going to be focusing on taking my time and enjoying, like not just drinking my cup of tea because I need the caffeine, but like enjoying my tea and enjoying writing in my journal, etc. Pillar number 3, boundaries. I have found over the last few years that boundaries have really helped put me in a mental space of clarity. I have always been the kind of person who has been conflict avoidant, but realizing that I have boundaries and that when people cross these boundaries forces me to then take action has really helped me narrow down the person that I'm supposed to be. So this is perfect in my leveling up era to really not only have the boundaries, but do a better job of enforcing them and not waiting until I can no longer take it. So an example of that is I had a friend who from time to time we would get into it, but it wasn't until my boundary was crossed that I had said something to that person. And I think that now looking back at it, one of the things that I could have done better was addressing my boundary with that individual instead of letting it build up inside of me. So the boundaries that I'm going to have and that I know and aware that I have need to be enforced. And that is enforced with everyone around me, my personal relationship, my family, my friendships, etc. I do want to make sure that I am focusing on being okay with me and the decisions that I make. And so one of those things is boundaries. In addition, one of the main boundaries that I do want to focus on this year is saying no. And it's funny because I'm sure there's not a lot of people who feel like saying no is a boundary, especially saying no to travel. In 2025, I found myself saying yes to anything that I was invited to because I enjoyed being around people. I felt like it refueled me. But towards the end of last year, I had agreed to do multiple trips and it caused me to be really overwhelmed. So one of the things that I do want to focus on in 2026 is making sure that the things that I say yes to are the things that directly align with where I want to be come December of 2026. Pillar number 4 is wealth and my wealth intentions. I don't want to be in a position where I keep moving the goalposts with no goal aligned to that. So what does that look like? Right, paying attention to where my money goes, softer financial habits, not any that causes me stress. So growing up, my family didn't have a lot. We were fed, we had a roof over our head, but we didn't necessarily have excess. I think that has caused me to be a bit more anxious when it comes around money. And some people might call it financial trauma, right? But I don't necessarily think personally that it was traumatic, more so like shaped my views on money. And I would like 2026 to be an era and a year of removing stress from things that I have control over. So changing my perspective on money is going to be important in 2026, and then building long-term confidence around money and my ability to earn money. And then the last pillar is a soft life discipline. And this is a one that was inspired by a conversation I was having with one of my girlfriends, that being a Black woman and being an immigrant has really shaped the need to consistently be productive. And one of the things that I've shared with a lot of my friends and my therapist is that I really have this guilt around sleeping in or not being productive. And as I'm looking ahead to 2026, I would like to focus more on being productive on the times that I said I was going to be productive, but allowing myself to rest during the times that I allowed it for relaxation, and not feeling like my relaxation time should be my productivity time. So really leaning in to the pillar of soft life. And I want to end, out of all the 5 pillars, that is going to be one of the pillars that is an overlay on everything else that I decide, right? Like, so my financial decisions, being intentional with my money, should allow me to live a more soft life. Having boundaries with people around me is also supposed to help with my soft life discipline. A few things under here was really prioritizing long-term goals, choosing peace, like intentionally choosing peace day to day, choosing the discipline over impulse. I can be and tend to be impulsive with my purchases. Again, soft life, and making better choices and giving myself grace for the things that may not be achieved in the timelines that I want in my mind. Because I know that everything that has happened in my life has happened because it was supposed to happen. And God's plan for me and the way that my life has come to be is so much better than I would have ever imagined for myself. So I really need to trust and have faith in the things that are meant for me being for me. So what I assume is going to happen over the course of this journey in the next 54 weeks is that things are going to change in what I set out to do. And I'm going to be okay with what that looks like over time. So what you'll see is hopefully an evolution of me and who I'm becoming. That might mean that the pillars that I set out to be may be different come December, but you have to follow with me on my journey to see what that looks like. As you're joining this community of leveling up, I hope that you do the same as well. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below, and I will see you next week for the next video.